Hello, we go again. Fingers crossed you can all
Hey,
absolutely hear us. It looks like you can hear us. I can see Ahsan's audio bit popping at the bottom on the OBS. Honestly, all I did was restart my laptop, my computer, that was it. And that fixed everything. But anyway, if you don't know what I'm on about, we
excellent.
tried to do this video once. It failed massively because of myself being an idiot. But we're good. We're here again. Alongside me, of course, my good friend, Mr. Ahsan Naeem. How you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm excellent, mate.
That's wonderful to hear.
I
You're
am
excellent.
really excellent. I'm going to LA tomorrow, so I'm not going to complain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, life's good, mate. Life sounds really good. You just off to LA.
Yes,
Look at us jet setting, you know. Who would have thought two birds here jet setting about? I was in Seoul, you're
exactly.
off to LA. This is not new for me, but this is not usual for me. It's just a one off and it's ended now, but still. LA work related, holiday related.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Amazing, man. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I'm sure you will do. And I'm sure you might get some good news when you're over there as well. Who knows? You never know. It could be a little bit of Erling Haaland news. Anyway, we got together to talk about Erling Haaland because it is the name on everyone's lips. I'm going to start with a broad question before we get into the technical side of it all. What would this mean for Manchester City, Asan, to sign Erling Haaland? What would it mean to the world of football?
I mean, look, I think when we talked about this last summer, I said that, Haaland represents a type of player in terms of profile that we've probably not signed since Aguero.
Yeah,
Um, And even with Aguero, I don't think that the profile. I think everybody knew that Con was a top player, but I don't think that there was the hype around Aguero that there has been around Haaland. And obviously, like a lot of that is just due to his numbers because his numbers are insane.
yeah,
And the fact that Mbappe's around as well means that there's almost this. There's been this sense over the last 18 months that Haaland and Mbappe will be the new Messi and Ronaldo in terms of being the two most high profile goal scoring forwards in the world.
yeah, exactly. I think no, you're right, and it's obviously with Aguero as well. It was kind of pre-social media, and we can pretend if we want, but the hype and the connectivity of the world these days of football does make certain
Yes, totally
players
different. Yeah.
more. It's a different scenario entirely. But as you said, the numbers are different, and I guess Aguero, even at that point, was still sort of in Messi and Ronaldo's shadow. They'd already become superstars. I think he might have already won his first Ballon d'Or at that point. Messi, I think he probably had done, and Ronaldo definitely had. So I guess those two they were always going to dwarf football, but they are disappearing, slowly, but they are disappearing. And now it is about the next guys. And this, for me, as you said, this is by far the highest profile signing we would have made. Mainly because everyone in the world wants him. Everyone would absolutely kill for him. And you never got that sense that we were fighting anyone for De Bruyne, which is silly looking back. I mean, a few teams definitely wanted him, but this feels a little bit special. It feels different. Have you got any concerns
Mm.
about this idea about him suiting Man City? I mean, it doesn't seem a concern for me personally, but we have
Who
obviously
said
played a
that?
false nine. People just, I mean, it's just a general
Who
idea.
said
I mean,
that?
it's mainly idiots online, if I'm being honest.
Come
But
on.
we will change our style of play, won't we? But it's gonna suit City surely. De Bruyne is gonna thrive if we get someone like him.
Definitely. And also, like, I don't think that, like that the idea that we'll start change our style of play, well, not the principles of the football that we play. That's
Yeah,
our style. Our style are the fundamentals of positional play and high defensive line and that
yeah,
kind of stuff. I think that, any player that comes in will slot into that system. We will, of course, Guardiola will make adjustments as he does for every player in every single game.
that's what Guardiola does, doesn't
So
he?
yeah, that's basically what Pep does. So I don't think that there's going to be like some dramatic change of style or I think look to me I've seen a few people say that like oh he might struggle at first or come on
Yeah, I know.
like
I don't see it either personally. I don't see it.
the
I think
kid is built to score goals, right? The kid is
he's a
built
lab machine.
exactly. He's a machine that's built to score goals. Maybe the thing he knows how to do best is put the ball in the back of the net. Are you telling me? Is anybody going to try and convince me that in this Man City team that creates the type of chances that they create, that Erling Haaland will struggle at first?
I don't see it either. I don't see it in the slightest. I mean, by the way, a few people saying you're looking really fresh, man, which I agree. Everyone's loving the button-up thing, I reckon. So they haven't said that specifically, but everyone's saying, yeah, Ahsan looking sharp. But no, I agree. I don't really look. Even if he takes a few heavy touches here and there, which is possible because the pace of the Premier League will be different, there may be those issues. But the one issue I don't worry about with Haaland is scoring. Like, he absolutely is a mentality monster, and I hate using that phrase because it's very cliche, but it's true. There's probably no bigger killer in world football right now than Erling Haaland. He nothing phases him, and I think it's because, once again, you have to look at who he is. And what I mean by that is he comes from a footballing family. His dad was an established pro. You know, his dad was a leader in teams. He'd captained teams beforehand. He absolutely understands and appreciates football. This isn't a kid that's going to be nervous on the bigger stages. This is a kid who's grown up around football and understands it is part of his heritage and his blood. So there's no way, in my opinion, he's going to doubt himself if he misses a few chances. He just doesn't care. He's a robot. And for me, that says it all. Blue City Brain with the super chat said over or under 30 goals. To me, Blue City Brain, it's entirely dependent on the number of games he plays. If he plays plus 30 games, he scores plus 30 goals. I think it's as simple as that, personally. What about yourself?
I think he'll run at a goal a game. I think he'll run at on average a goal a game, just because of the people that are going to be feeding him. I mean, so stupid. I should hang on. So I should say first, right, that, like, honestly, after everything that happened with Harry Kane last summer, I didn't think I'd do another one of these videos because I'm not really cut out for. I've got a whole other life, and I'm not really cut out for people coming after me because I was too confident about something. So it made me super reticent to do another video about transfers. But this feels I don't think either of us are sat here playing the in the know game. This just feels like it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're right.
Like, it's not. It's just, you know, when
you
look at the people that are saying it.
Last time I heard of him, probably like you, was 2 months ago, and it was a relative person that we both know saying, essentially, and he's put it on forums over saying, I've been told it's done, and everything. It's like Grealish. It feels like Grealish to me, where everyone kind of knew it was done, and everyone's just waiting for it to happen. But this is different because, once again, it's a release clause, and I guess all the noises have died down so much and so intensely from the Real Madrid side that I guess we're just going with the wind here, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, we all know which way the wind is blowing, and it's very Manchester City led. And you got all the big journalists coming out now, haven't you, as well? Ornstein, he's a respectable guy. He's not really had massive Man City links, but he's a respectable journalist, isn't he? People, and there's more and more coming out today. More and more. Graham Bailey's I don't know much about Graham Bailey, but he's got involved today. Paul Belush as well. Like, he's a very well connected man, isn't he, Paul?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's saying very specific stuff about the agent fees. A signing on fee for Haaland and Raiola would be around a sum of around 40 million or something like that. With the offer, the salary slightly higher than Real Madrid's. I wouldn't be surprised by that, by the way, if it was slightly higher. And when you say slightly, maybe 10, 20 grand, or something like that. It all adds up to me, it all adds up to me. And also the idea that it won't be significantly higher than De Bruyne. I think it'll be more or less par. Do you think that's probably likely?
Definitely. I don't think that they're going to pay him more than. I don't care what anybody writes. He won't be on a bigger basic than Kev.
He was on 385 apparently, isn't he?
I think the other thing is that you either believe that this is a transfer where the only thing that moves him is money, or you believe that this is a transfer where he wants to be paid what he's worth, but the football side of it is more important. And for me. So I did something yesterday or the day before because I had a bit of time and I'm a nerd sometimes. I went looking, I did a little Google search of the run-up to Pogba moving to United. It's pretty scary how similar the stories out of Spain were in terms of, oh, well, Madrid want him, but he's going to have to lower his expectations because Madrid won't pay what United will pay. And it was almost identical in the way that they've written those stories. So for me, that kind of just made me think, I think we're at that stage where it's probably going to happen to City. The other thing, Mino Raiola and Florentino Perez don't like each other. Like, really don't like each other.
Okay.
Raiola did an interview a few years ago where he said that Real Madrid treat footballers like tablecloths or something like that. It was very, was very, very pointed. So there's a lot of stuff that makes me feel it'll happen. And the other thing, and I'd like to know what you think actually. So many people are writing about this, but I absolutely guarantee you that City aren't saying anything. So where are the stories coming from? I guarantee you Guardiola ain't speaking. Nobody around Pep is speaking. Nobody at City is speaking. My feeling, these stories are coming either from Dortmund or from Barcelona or from Madrid. Obviously, Paul is very well connected in Barcelona, yeah? And I imagine that in football circles, Laporta and all those guys, they'll know more or less where he's landing and what sort of figures it's going to be. So I think that's where the stories are coming from.
Sorry, I just choked on my drink there. Yeah, you're choking a drink and it goes the wrong way. I told you I'm having a mare today, everything. But no, I absolutely agree. Like, one of those days. No, I agree. I don't think City are actually briefing anyone. I don't think they are. I think we also need to remember, Jenny, as a football fandom, that when a transfer gets close, which allegedly it is, so many people get involved. Like, they just do. You know, eventually players need houses, families start looking elsewhere, you know, more lawyers get involved, the legal teams get involved, the social teams get involved, the Dortmund accountants get involved. Basically, it gets bigger and bigger, doesn't it? The longer a transfer goes on and the closer it gets, the net of people involved in something, it starts to massively spread. And as you said, agents start to find out because they're with other agents, and players then leak it to their agents, who will then maybe tell a board member at Barcelona in a casual conversation. Stuff gets out, basically. I personally even heard that they went to visit, City went to, I heard this via someone very well connected, that they went to visit Mina when he was in hospital as well, to chat about this whole thing, which is, you know, says how serious City were about it. And I've got no reason to doubt that person either. Absolutely no reason. So this has been going on for an awful long time with City absolutely intensely focused on it. But when it comes to the leaks, yeah, I think it is other people. It probably will be someone. Of course, Cheeky will chat to people every now and then. You know, maybe he'll tell them not to tell anyone, but everyone tells everyone.
You know what? I said on our podcast yesterday, I watched the semi-final on Saturday with a City fan who is from London and kind of knocks about with, like, I'm not exaggerating, he knocks about with like billionaire City fans. Like they go to games on private jets, that kind of vibe, and they hang out in the chairman's lounge. They hang out in the chairman's lounge with Soriano and Begarestain very, very, very regularly. And even he was saying to me, he was like, you know what? Like in the early days, in the first few years, they'd tell you little things, but now they don't say anything. Okay. No, I agree, even if you say like, hey, so Haaland, is it going to happen? They'll say, because I asked him, I was like, what have they said about Haaland? And he's like, all they said was, he's a player that we really like, but it'll be competitive. We'll have to see what happens. And that's like a standard line. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think they probably won't anymore. I think they've been burned far too many times, or attempted to be burned by other people, you know, because you just can't really trust anyone, can you? I mean, ultimately, I've not seen anything pro Real Madrid on this link for ages, and I think you've got to bear in mind where Real Madrid are. The Real Madrid are actually, you know, they're doing well in the Liga. They're probably going to win it. Benzema is literally making himself in the Ballon d'Or conversation, and I think sometimes circumstances actually shudder things back a little bit anyway. Like they shifted it back because he's doing so well. They clearly want Mbappe. Everyone knows Mbappe's their token guy, and I would not be surprised if Real have gone, we probably, you know, financially City can afford this. We probably can too, but we're getting Mbappe. We've got Benzema, who's currently our token, you know, like our literal superstar. You know, Vinicius is having a good season. You know, they just don't really. It makes no sense for them financially to go in for him now, really. So I think, once again, I do think he's been sold in the City project, but also I think the only real serious offer, the proper serious offer, is Man City, and like I think it just suits everyone down to a T right now, and I'm not worried about him ever leaving in the future. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I think actually people fall in love with Man City. They do it, and they don't realise that they're doing it, but they do. Hence why players are here so long. I just can't wait the idea of this. A few super chats, by the way. Dylan said, morning, Steve. You get Haaland. Do you think we'll go back to wingers on the strong side? What do you reckon, mate? What do you reckon about that? Do you think we'll see wingers on the left and left on left, right on right?
I don't know, you know.
I don't think so.
I do. I don't think that Pep's like particularly dogmatic in that he wants one or the other. I think that it just depends on who he's playing and the opposition and how they play, all that kind of stuff.
Mahrez dinking his crosses into the back post, you know. because Mahrez plays inverted. Surely you want Mahrez whipping those crosses towards Haaland, 6'4", So I don't think it would change too much. But Dylan, thank you so much for that. We'll get on to general. Another super chat from Flacco says, which other weak areas do you think, guys, we have? We'll get on to that in a bit, mate. And Dan said, do you think if Erling signs, Jesus will go to Juventus or leave in general? I would. Jesus, do you think he'll go if Erling signs? We've got Alvarez coming as well.
We do, but we also have Sterling, Mahrez, Jesus out of contract. Not this summer, next summer. Gundo as well. That's 4 players who potentially are out of contract. They can't all go because then you need a rebuild. Then you got to go out and sign 6 players because you've already got to replace Fernandinho. If you're going to replace Ben Mendy, then you've got to replace him. You're replacing Aguero with Haaland. It's a lot of work to do. I do think that one of the forward players will probably go this summer.
I agree.
Just because they'll have less games.
I absolutely agree. I think it's almost inevitable because I think they'll sense it, and it depends on the influence Alvarez makes as well, I guess, early on. But I think he's coming in to be serious, personally. I hope.
I'm really excited about him.
Same, I really am.
Almost as excited about him as I am about Haaland, but in a different way. Because I think the thing with Alvarez is that everybody's saying he can play across the front 3. So it's not that it's Haaland or it's Alvarez. Yeah, he's a player who might well, because he's got. I think that if I was Guardiola and I was being critical of what he's got, I would say most of my players can't finish their dinner, and you can't really have that. You can't be in a position where you can't be in a position where you need to create 8 chances to score 2 or 3 goals. Like, you need to be much more clinical than that. And I think that if Alvarez comes in and he's got the sniff of goals and he can do that from wide, then he'll play. Why wouldn't he play?
Absolutely. No, I agree. In the way that, David Villa often played out wide a little bit when Messi was in the false nine thing. It's very similar principle. Guardiola loved Pedro because he could score and he was a finisher as well. So anyone who's got that, once again, that sniff of goal, and when you've got the creative players behind him, they are going to get in the team. And for a long time, it was Raz for obvious reasons, because Raz was scoring 30 goals a season, and he still could be that again, hopefully next season. But it is absolutely going to be the one to do that. And I agree. And I think this is what makes it so exciting for Alvarez, because for me, my opinion, I love an exciting kind of like hidden gem. And Alvarez is not a hidden gem as such, but he's coming to Europe for the first time,
He's
very
near
much.
Enough.
He's you're right. No, you're new. I mean, he costs about 20 million. He's coming obviously from a hugely historic club, so I'm not trying to play River Plate down. But for most people, 99% of football fans have never heard of him, and they're probably even higher the percentage than that, because you ask a random person in England, have you heard of this guy? They'll go, no, of course not. And that's just how it is. In terms of the actual transfer, just a few of the issues around him that people like that Madrid press will start throwing out there. For example, his injury record. He does have a few injuries. Does this concern you? Do you think it's symptomatic of Dortmund, or just him, Haaland maybe growing, or what? Where are you at with this?
So I think Dortmund's injury record this season has been horrendous.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding that, he obviously had a bad ankle injury when he played for Norway recently. And that's been an issue for him. But I think that my opinion on the injury thing, and it's an opinion that I'll probably have on a lot of the other things as well, is only when City sign players do people lead with the negative. Haaland is, like Mbappe, arguably the best forward in the world, right? And you're trying to tell me that the media are talking about, but his injury record.
Mate, no, 41 games last season, 41 goals. I'd take 41 games this season at Haaland.
It's scarcely credible, some of the stuff that these people say. And also, like, I tweeted this earlier, like, is there another football club where when they're going to sign a player, the actual salary is in the headline of the story?
It's because they can't use the fee, mate. Because they can't use the fee because it's so respectable. That's what it is.
Do you remember that clown on Sky Sports last summer when United signed Donny van Beek, and he goes, they've signed an £80 million player for £40 million. Yeah, like, this is what I'm talking about. That, like, agenda.
And we would have signed, if we get this, we would have signed a £150 million player for 65. If this goes through.
Yeah.
People think that this is going to be this huge transfer, and it is financially, but they don't realise how much Man City can afford this, because we've been building towards this, haven't we? This was meant to go on Haaland and Kane last year, so Man City absolutely have the money, and Man City absolutely can afford it. I don't really buy into the idea of squad disharmony either. I mean, I think he won't be paid more for De Bruyne, and also I think De Bruyne is pragmatic enough to understand that. So like Haaland coming in with his record, his profile in world football, of course he's going to demand a high wage packet, and also ultimately the most important thing in football, it's goals. It's goals, and if you're coming in as Erling Haaland, the one thing Man City lack, not hugely, but we lack a clinical instinct sometimes. Of course, he's going to come in and go, well, I am the main man now, and that's in terms of alongside Kevin De Bruyne. I don't think any players will have any right to complain if he scores the goals that we think so. I think he's going to do, and also once again, you win points for us, and if you win points, a player's really going to complain? I don't see it.
Do you want to know something really funny?
Go on.
I've been my cat, right, who's been looking for all morning, because I'm like, let me feed you before I do this video. She's turned up at the door now. She sat there like, let me in. No, you're gonna have to wait now. I'm doing video.
we got Haaland hype cat. We got to rename the cat Erling. That'd be interesting. So how do you see this playing out now in terms of because obviously, we all want it to be announced, so on. Can you even see it being announced during the season? Or do you think we're going to have to do that whole patient wait thing?
So the thing you have to remember is that Dortmund are on the stock exchange, so they have to announce it.
If it's done.
As soon as it's done and it's agreed, they have to tell their shareholders that the deal has been agreed. I imagine, I had a look, Jadon Sancho was officially announced 1st of July. I don't see any reason why they would announce it before the 1st of July, unless City say, we'll pay the money now. We'll activate the release clause as soon as the season is over. I don't see it being announced before then. I think the big thing is, I think the next story that will come out. I spoke to somebody that we both know this morning, and he said that he believes the next thing that will happen is that there will be a raft of stories saying officially Haaland has decided to move to Manchester City. Right? We're not actually quite there yet. If you read, everybody is a little bit still hedging their bets. Even like the Ornstein story yesterday, he's agreed personal terms, but actually he's not agreed to. It's just like, you know what? I'm not going to say it. But my vibe is very much that the next thing that will happen is that there'll be some sort of, whether it's your man Jan Aga, right, who's been very quiet this morning, which I think is
what
also
is his deal, man? I don't know what his deal is, because he's very, very gobby on this. He was even saying Bayern were in for it the other day still as well, wasn't he? Still, when everyone knows it's not.
I think the interesting thing is that unless he's tweeted whilst we're doing this video, he's not said anything this morning, and he has been very, very, very quick to shoot down stories almost on a daily basis. So when it was like, oh, he's decided that he wants to go to Madrid, he was like, he's not decided anything yet. Yesterday, when the first story broke, he was like, it's not true, Real Madrid is still in the race. But then all the stories drop in the British press last night and this morning. Ornstein even says it, and he's not said anything this morning. So
he's tweeted 15 minutes ago. All he tweeted though was that just there was he's quoted, but his release clause from Dortmund expires in the end of April. He's just put not true. That's it. So that's neither here or there. That's just saying no. His release clause. That's not even anything linked to anything. You're right. He's been very quick to shoot or build things down, hasn't he? And he's not shot this down yet.
No. I think that I think that's also telling. Look, if I were to hazard a guess as to what's happened, the kid's made his mind up, right? And they don't think it's respectful to say anything until Dortmund's season is over. So they will try and be respectful. Don't claw at the window. You got to wait now.
That cat wants some breaking news, man.
Yeah,
What's the cat
definitely.
called?
Shoe. She used to be called Aguero, but now she's just called Shoe,
Shoe, as in like shoe,
as
as
in
in.
shoe, as in one shoe.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, I think you're right. I think largely it probably will take until the season's over. Unfortunately, I mean, I guess the difference with the Sancho thing is that they didn't have to accept that until they wanted to accept the bid. Do you know what I mean by that? In terms of they can be like,
Yeah,
well, we officially accept it whenever. I mean, I don't know how it works, but I presume as soon as City bid that number, they have to just be like, yes, accepted. I mean, legally, I'm sure they have to.
depends. It depends upon whether the release clause is written into his contract or whether it's a handshake between Raiola and Dortmund. And there are many, 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 many reports saying that it's actually just a handshake between the Haalands, Raiola, and Dortmund on what the fee would be. I mean, look, in the end, Mino Raiola is not a guy who you're going to shake hands with and then say a year later,
Yeah, you don't fuck around after he's too powerful.
we've changed our minds. You know, I mean, everybody knows the stories about him throwing chairs around the boardroom at Juventus. Like,
I don't know those stories. That's fascinating.
He's not that guy. So
he's not Charlie Kane, basically. Is that what you're trying to say?
Definitely not.
It was like,
poor Charlie and Harry, man.
You said.
Poor Charlie and Harry.
Yeah, well, we changed our mind. Fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, imagine. Yeah, that's the difference. Mino Raiola is big. He's big time, isn't he? He's a big part of football's. The big players in football, where Charlie Kane is just a nobody, really, who's made money off his brother. So I mean, regardless, I mean, if they've said it, they'll have to keep to it because the power that Raiola has to bring clients to clubs and so on, and there'll always be another.
I'm not worried about that.
No, nor am I either. I mean, I think everyone else is worried about this potential transfer. I mean, do you think this is the really obvious question? But if this happens, Pep's future, we get good news, surely. I mean, I think we do. I think it's almost unquestionable that we see Pep extend if he signed Haaland and Alvarez.
Yeah, I think that story is probably easier to telegraph even than the Haaland one, in the sense that there's been a few reports now that City have told agents of players that they're trying to sign that they have no concerns over Guardiola's medium-term future, that he will be here longer than just next season. So I think it's obvious that Pep will extend. The question is how many years he extends for. Another one, another two. We'll have to wait and see. But he will.
I know, I absolutely agree. I mean, the only thing for me is it's so tempting towards that 10 years, and I think there's something in his head that would just. He's an intelligent, logical man. And I think you just see. I can't imagine him getting to 9 years and not wanting to complete 10. It just.
No, but I think.
Go on.
It's about burnout. I think the thing with Pep is that as long as. I think the interesting thing is that I think that Klopp being at Liverpool helps keep Guardiola here, because having that challenge, having that competition, feeling that pressure, feeling like you need to be better every season, that's what keeps competitive men going. Do you know what I mean? And I think that for Guardiola and for Klopp, the two of them being here will keep them here, if that makes sense. Like, one will keep the other here. So I'm fairly confident that he will extend, and I'm sure that for somebody like Haaland, he would want to know that Pep's sticking around.
The idea of Haaland and the Guardiola just seems, it's a fever dream. It's incredible. Like the level that he potentially reach. Blue City Brain with Super Chat said, "Give me 20 years of Pep." Oh, we'd all love that, mate. We'd absolutely. I would honestly let him put a number down. I'd go Rio, so put a number down on the paper, whatever he wants to, man. Thank you for the super chat, absolutely appreciate it. But yeah, the idea of Haaland under he's the missing piece. I know that sounds really obvious, but he is the missing piece for me. That's it. I mean, not that we're missing too much anyway, but to think what we could achieve with Haaland in this City side, there's so many games, so many moments where we're like, we would have got 3 points today if we just had someone who finished. I mean, Liverpool, we would have probably won 4-2. You know, I can honestly see that level of difference.
You know what? The best way to judge the impact that he will have is to look at what rival supporters are saying and what journalists are going to say. I think what you're going to find is a lot of people are going to say, it's not fair, nobody can compete now.
No, you're right.
That tells you everything you need to know, because it's like Guardiola has built a team that wins the Premier League without a number 9, right? The squad has clear weaknesses in it, but still, you look at the points tally we'll get, it'll be 90 plus this season. It's frightening to think what the team, the squad, this collection of players could do with a player of Haaland's caliber playing in the number 9 position.
It's quite insane when you think about it. I'm looking at the Premier League table now. We've dropped points in 8 matches. We dropped points in 8 matches this season. I honestly think as many as 5 of those you don't drop points in if you have Haaland. And that sounds really dramatic, but as many of them, which is you're looking at maybe 27 wins out of 31 games at that point. And I do believe that, mainly because the amount of chances that Man City waste. I think it's a quite frightening, terrifying prospect for everyone else to have a guy who's that brutal in front of goal, that clinical in front of goal. And to me, honestly, I think you see Kevin De Bruyne go up a level. I think Kevin De Bruyne has adapted his game a bit this year to be the goal scorer. I think he's sort of realised there's no point putting on half these crosses and passes that he does. And his games become... Do you think he goes back to the Kevin De Bruyne who's getting more assists?
I don't even think it's just Kev. I think that the entirety of the attack, everybody gets better, because suddenly nobody's got the pressure of you've got to create and you've got to score.
I agree.
Suddenly, like there's Sterling can play with the freedom, Mahrez can play with the freedom, the KDB, Bernardo, like they can all play with the freedom, knowing that you don't have that pressure that you need to in every game. One of us has got to step up and score goals here because we don't have a 9. We don't have a guy who naturally can just do that.
I absolutely agree, and I think people don't quite underestimate the pressure that people feel when they're asked to do something that they are not. And obviously, all these players can score goals. You know, they're world-class footballers, but scoring goals and winning games is a different kind of pressure. It's a unique kind of pressure, and that's why strikers are paid the big money, basically, because that is literally everything in football. It wins you games, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's so important, and some people feel that pressure more than others. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that Sterling scored 30 goals when we had a striker. I think he was a lot freer mentally, a lot more space for him, because people like Aguero just create space naturally. They draw 2 defenders because they are instinctively brilliant. And Sterling can concentrate on his own personal movement, not trying to win the game for us. And I think he gets burdened a little bit more knowing that one-on-one's going to cost him, because if he doesn't score it, no one else is going to. Whereas if you're Sterling all of a sudden, or you're Foden, or anyone else going through on goal, it doesn't matter if you miss that chance. Big Erling's going to score anyway.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden,
there's just...
Go on.
I just think that there's it is a little bit like a fever dream, because, you know, I think that a serviceable number 9 would do that for the players. Bringing in arguably the best is just like, it's level.
He's that good, isn't he? He's that good. We're going to sign a potentially world-class, generational, once-in-a-lifetime striker.
You have him with Joseph Guardiola. You know what I mean? Like, there's no... I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to have a go at... Yeah, totally. Like, and I'm not trying to have a go at anyone, but I keep seeing stuff that feels negative to me. And I'm like, who are you people to write anything negative about this thing? This thing
23 goals in 19 games in the Champions League.
Can you imagine when Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Real Madrid, if they'd have gone like, oh yeah, but he's getting paid this much. Oh yeah, the squad are going to be unhappy. Oh yeah, like, have you seen his injury record? Get in the bin, man. Like, that's just... It's not,
this guy could score 100 goals in 2 years at Man City. He could genuinely do that, and that's just absolutely unfathomable. I think the Premier League goal scoring record in terms of an individual season will be beaten his first season if he stays healthy. I really believe that, and I know people may think I'm exaggerating there, but I do think he's going to, in the way that Man City and Guardiola changed the perception of stats and points in this league, I do think Haaland will do the same, and I honestly believe he will. I think he'll score even more than Sergio, and I bloody love Sergio. I think he will do. I think this Man City team has peaked in a way of chance creation and fluidity that maybe we didn't always get Aguero at his very best there, because he was injured quite a lot, you know, and so on. Like, I think a young Aguero now scores 30, 40 goals in this team every single season as well. But I think Haaland scores even more. I think he does. I just think he does. And I think that's absolutely insane to say out loud. I think Guardiola is reveling the idea of playing with someone like Haaland, because he's seen those weaknesses that we have up front. And he also knows exactly how to improve him. He'll know exactly what to get out of him. And I do think we're looking at a guy here who could rewrite what's possible in the Premier League. That sounds crazy, but I do honestly believe that. I think he's going to be If he plays 38 Premier League games, he scores 38 goals, or maybe he scores 45. I think it's that simple. I think he's gonna have games where he'll get 2 hat tricks in 2 weeks, that kind of thing, because it's Man City, and we'll create so many chances for him.
And he's
I don't know, getting carried away. Yeah, no, he
he's
is
built for
absolutely.
the league. He's built for the league. Like there are plenty of players who are very, very talented who maybe aren't built for this league, right? Haaland was built in a laboratory for the Premier League. Yeah.
So
it's
yeah. Someone just said, what happens if they play a low block? And Chaotic Espen replied saying, I can't wait to see what low blocks team does when they force us to cross it to our 6'4" giant Viking fucker. Exactly,
also,
he's 6'4".
Also, Haaland can play in tight spaces, and if you go and look at the variety of finishes that he's got, your block can be as low as it wants to be. If the ball gets to his feet, you've got a problem. In and around the penalty area, you've got a massive problem. Left foot, right foot, head, toe, knee, shoulder, doesn't matter. Like it's no. There's some things that you can. There's always risks with transfers. There's all players have got weaknesses, but you can't talk Erling Haaland to Man City down. If you do, you're a clown.
No, it's as simple as that. I agree. I understand people being a little bit presuming the worst every now and then, but the idea that you can ignore literally the 99% overwhelming positive idea of this, it's silly. And I think the Premier League as well absolutely benefits from him coming there. I know the rest of the teams that want it, but he's a superstar, man, on another level. And
of course.
He could be our first ever Ballon d'Or winner.
Exactly. His dad played here. There's a legacy thing. Like there's a legacy.
How are they going to play that down?
How
are they going to play that link down? There's photos of wearing City shirts, man, constantly everywhere. Like people will pretend it's about the money or pretend it's about this, but we can go look. This guy's a City fan. I can't wait for that, by the way. When he wins a Ballon d'Or, and I think he probably will do at Man City. If he comes and it happens, I think he'll win a Ballon d'Or because he'll score 45 goals, and it'll be a City fan doing it. You know, there'll be photos of him wearing a City shirt, and like from there to here, you know, that kind of thing. I absolutely can't wait for that, man. It's a frightening thought and a wonderful thought. A couple of super chats. Chris Graves just being lovely, saying, congrats to you, Nicola. See why you've been practicing your dad jokes for years now. Thank you, Chris. And also great seeing Super Ahsan. Of course, it's always great seeing Super Ahsan. He said also, let's get our 6'4" Messiah. Absolutely, man, absolutely. Haaland at Man City. It doesn't always feel real, but the idea, I do think it's going to happen personally. We don't know it's going to happen, but everything is pointing that direction. It makes so much sense. People will talk about, the Madrid pull. I get that. But Man City, in my opinion, are probably the best team in the world right now, with the best manager in the world right now, with maybe the second best young player in the world right now in Foden after Haaland. They are already friends by the looks of it. He's a City fan. We need a striker. He gets to play under the best manager in the world. It just makes so much sense that it's almost dumb for it not to happen. And we can afford him, and we need him.
Yeah.
Why am I nervous then? I don't know.
Because there's an old saying, many a slip betwixt cup and lip. So until it's done, it's not done. But we can be supremely confident that we are at the front of that queue right now. And I think that when we can go from being confident to being relaxed is when the story drops that officially he's chosen City. And I suspect that it will be Dortmund that say it. I suspect that Dortmund will officially say he's told us that he's leaving and that he wants to go to Man City.
And when you say officially, do you mean like the sporting director will say something like that?
Yes. Yeah. That they'll do it. That Vatska or Sebastian Kehl will do an interview and they'll say he's told us that he wants to go and he's told us where he wants to go. And then you'll probably get Jan Aga going, he's chosen Man City, and then he might cry a little bit.
I love it. A couple of super chats. Dylan Black said, will you take a bit of time to adapt or fit straight? And Dylan, we talked about this earlier actually. I think the consensus is that we both think he's going to score goals regardless of how he's playing, and that's all that matters. He'll take time to learn systems.
It's about the system thing. It'll take him a little bit of time to learn how to play the way that Pep wants him to play, but at the same time, he will hit the ground running in the sense that the guy's a goal machine. If you put him on the pitch for 90 minutes and you create chances for him in the penalty area, he'll score goals.
It's as simple as that. No, I agree. I don't think there's anything more than that. You might have a few games where like the ball bounces off him, he's not in the right place, and the pass goes wrong, but he'll score 2 goals anyway, and no one will care because he's Haaland. I mean, if you give him a one-on-one or a header from 4 yards out, or a half chance, what you all love about Haaland, by the way. He's the kind of guy who's capable of scoring the goals that Aguero was. Aguero scored against Liverpool, one of my favourite goals of all time, the 2-1 when we beat them in the 18-19. I love that. It's one of
my favourite goals of all time as well.
It's iconic. The celebration, the intensity, the visceral atmosphere in the stadium, what it meant at the time, the way he just finished it. With that, at that point, Van Dijk playing, at his highest level, and the way he just impotently smacked it in with his left foot from a tight angle. Haaland scores those kind of goals. And that is a very rare kind of thing. And I cannot wait to see him just score those half chances that our players would even take right now. They don't take them. They just wait and they take a touch and they pass it. Where he shoots first time, high into the roof of the net. I've seen him do loads of them. And I cannot wait to see that. Shubham Bansal with Super Chat said, Ahsan learned from last season. I guess you're on about the Kane thing. I'm going to defend Ahsan, by the way. I'm going to defend Ahsan. This idea that he has anything to feel bad about or whatever for believing what people told him, or the idea that, anyone could ever possibly be wrong about something. You weren't wrong. It just didn't happen because someone went back in his words.
People who work at the football club, right, were told to prepare
I know that for fact as well.
For Harry Kane. So, it is what it is. It happens in football, but I definitely learned because I can't be arsed with all you lot complaining.
Don't worry about it, man. In my opinion, people only complain when they're bored. And if they're bored, go outside and get some fresh air. Ali is with Super Chat as well. Says, what does Don Ahsan have to say about those who think he won't fit the Guardiola system? We talked about that earlier as well, actually, with the Super Chat. But final thoughts on that, man, about there's no system worries, is there, for you?
I don't think that I have any time for anybody who wants to talk down at Haaland to City and the impact that he will have, not just on City, but on the Premier League. Just forget it. If he comes here, it will be like when Ronaldo went to Real Madrid.
Exactly.
It will be something that people will go, holy shit, he's a phenomenon. He's not just a player, he's a special player. Foden levels. And you know how I feel about Foden. I think he's probably the best. Foden, Haaland, and Mbappe sit at the same table for me.
I absolutely agree. And for what it's worth, by the way, I think we see Foden at his very best with Haaland. He's very, very best. I think he goes up another level. I think we're going to see one day. We're going to see Foden, Alvarez, and Haaland up front at one point. I think it's going to be so exciting. I think it's going to be so much fun.
They can't mess it up from here. They can't mess it up from here.
Shubham did say, by the way, correct. I'm not dissing Ahsan. I thought it was just funny, and so he wasn't having a go at you for that. He used to say it's just funny.
It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, so I get. Yeah, you said it was just funny how we all get burned. If you make social media content, eventually, every now and then, you're in the firing line. That's how it is. Blue City Brain just saying Charlie Kane is the GOAT. Well, do you know what, Blue City Brain? Kane would have been fantastic at Man City, but this is the one I wanted, personally. So maybe Charlie Kane's naivety could actually be the best thing that ever happened to Man City in the long run. Maybe we're looking at 10 years of Haaland. Ahsan, I know you're a very busy man and you've got a cat to feed and you've got an LA plane to catch tomorrow, so I'll leave you to it, mate. But thank you so much for coming on.
You're a legend. Mate. Definitely, you're a legend. Man. Thank you very much.
Get up to Ramy one day. We'll have the Ramy City Blues and it'll be good fun, man.
Yeah, man. You need to find me a house I can buy in Ramy.
True story, everyone. Ahsan sent me a house that he'd seen around Ramy. So me and Nicola went for a walk and filmed outside of it and showed around. That's that's how the blue community works around here. So it's good fun. When you get to Ramy, I can't wait, man. I'll take you out everywhere. For now, though, guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, go and check out the 9320 podcast. It's a fantastic podcast where Ahsan's talked about this transfer in loads more detail than I ever possibly could with Jack Gorn, the Man City, the North of the football correspondent for the Daily Mail. Jack knows his stuff, so go and check out that. There's a link in the description to the 9320 pod. As Alan T just said, 9320 pod is life. It is indeed. Go and do it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a like. Go and give Ahsan a follow, the 9320 podcast, a follow, and all that kind of stuff. And for now, though, have a wonderful day. It's a blue sky out there because Manchester's blue. Well, Ramsbottom's blue right now, and I'm sure it's blue in Ibiza as well. I presume it is. Guys,
lovely.
Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
See you later, mate.